On this episode of Travel Tips and Tricks, we dive into different tools we can use to visit foreign places, what we take with us, how to plan to maximize your visit, so stay tuned and enjoy the ride. Everybody dreams of traveling, everybody dreams of exploring new places, but a lot of us don't know where to begin. This past year, when my wife and I wanted to go to a new place, now the great thing is there's a lot of tools to help you get started. You know, you could go to the route of going through Groupon tours or any other kind of tour place. The limitations I see with that is you gotta go through certain dates, you gotta go through certain places. I'm more the type who likes to explore, go through different options and do my own thing. And going to different tools that you could use out there to find different flights, to find the best prices and stuff like that. You can go through Expedia, you can go through Hotwire, you can go through any number of those sites. I went through those and also compared it to what I find to be one of the best tools in the internet right now, which is Google Flights. Very easy to find just in your regular even Google bar. You know, you open up your home screen and you have it to your Google as your search browser, or you just go to google.com. Simply enough, you can just type in flights and you'll have all your search results. But before that, you have on the tab that says all flights, news, shopping, books, more. You can go to the little flights tab, and going into the flights tab, it makes it very easy for you to start exploring to see where you want to go. Simple enough, it asks you already starts off with the round trip, how many passengers you want to go, if you want to fly economy or whatever else. It starts you off in the airport around your surrounding areas. I live in New York, so usually there's three options to fly out: LaGuardia, JFK, or Newark, New Jersey. Normally don't like flying out of Newark. If I ever find a really good deal, maybe I'll do it. It's just, I find it real difficult crossing the bridge, finding parking, or even if I'm going by train. If it's a long trip, you know, taking big bags through the train, it's just messy and it's a lot more hassle than I would want. I would rather pay a little bit more flying out of JFK and have a little bit more peace of mind. So let me get a little bit into how Google Flight works, how you can navigate through it. It's very simple, very user friendly. So let's say that I wanted to fly out of New York, and let's say I'm not sure where I want to go. I want to go somewhere fun, interesting, new. I can go from New York and I can search. So in the search bar, I can try, different places. Maybe if you have a bucket list of places you want to try, that you want to go into from place to place to place and see the prices that are there. Or the cool thing that I do like in the search tab, you could put in some of the dates, that are where you're thinking about flying. So let's say we want to fly sometime in the new year. After the holidays, let's say we want to start the new year right. New Year's resolution. My first resolution is to travel, and I'm going to start off with, at the beginning of the year. I'm not going to procrastinate, so I'm starting on the 31st of January, and I'm thinking about taking a whole weekend off and coming back on the 3rd. So I have my dates, and now let's see, where we can go. I can even just go to search from New York, and it gives me a map of different places I could fly to. So in that weekend, if I want to stay in the United States, I could fly to Boston for $97. I can go to Orlando for $113. I can go to Miami for $340. I can go all the way to San Francisco for $197, so on and so forth. So if I want to broaden my horizons and I want to try other places, I can go right here to the zoom out tool. Zoom out a little bit more. And then it's taking me to places around the world. I can go to Guayaquil, Ecuador for $374. I can go to Madrid, Spain for $271. London for $280. I might actually just go to London for that weekend at that great price. The better the price, you'll have it on the green so you know that that's a real good deal. But you know, any other price is, you know, it's, if it's in your budget, you know, go for it. Very simple, and you know, you're picking your destination. It'll tell me through which airlines I'll be going through, if it's non-stop, if it's with the stop or not, the time, the duration, and it gives you a few different options. So I can view the different options of flights. Non-stop, $332, and so on and so forth. And the good thing is it actually goes into the actual website. You can actually just book it through the airline. I like actually going through the airline itself because if anything that happens, it's easier to deal with the airline directly than through a third-party site. That's a little bit on how the Google Flights work. This past end of summer, I wanted to fly during the beginning of fall, mid of fall, and so I went through these steps, and I ended up choosing to go to London and Paris. So from New York, I was flying to London, and then from London, I was gonna spend a few days. There's a few things I wanted to do, and I was gonna take the Eurostar to go to Paris. That was the way I was able to do the step one of getting the flights. So I got my flights. I already know that I'm going to a place. Now comes the thing, where am I gonna stay? Google Flights also has a place to stay tab. I didn't use this. It's actually a really good tool, but when I went through Airbnb, and I got myself a place to stay. So step one, I got my flight. Step two, I got my place to stay. And now step three is where I'm gonna do my itinerary. In doing my itinerary, there's a few things that I wanted to see in London. Buckingham Palace. I wanted to go to see Piccadilly Square. I wanted to see the Sherlock Holmes Museum. There was a day that I actually want to go out of the city and go to Stonehenge. I was writing down the things I wanted to do to build up my itinerary. To make my time more efficient is to go from where I'm staying, find the farthest place of what I want to see, and work my way back home. You know, let's say I'm going to be using the map system. And where I was staying was by the O2 Arena in London. And let's say, you know, from there where I was staying, I wanted to go to Buckingham Palace. So it's showing me how far it is from the O2 Arena to Buckingham Palace, and it's telling me the different ways I can get there. If I want to get there by car, if I want to get there by walking, if I'm going through a bike, or if I'm taking public transportation. So through the public transportation, it's telling me how much time it's going to take. So be wary of when you're searching and when you're going. So right now it's almost 8 p.m. Even later in London, due to the time difference, So of course it's only going to be 32 minutes because right now over there it's 11:56 p.m. and 12:28 a.m. I doubt there's a lot of people taking the underground at this time. If you're planning to start your day early at 7 o'clock in the morning, you get there on a Monday morning, 7 o'clock in the morning, you're going to be in rush hour time. You'll probably be a little bit longer than in, as you would check on a Saturday morning or Saturday night. So build your itinerary, see where you want to go. One of the places I wanted to go was Stonehenge. And doing that, I don't want to wait in line on the day of when I planned out I'm going to go. So what I found out it's easier to do is to purchase your tickets for different things you want to see ahead of time. Now, I recommend purchasing your tickets from the official sites. If anything happens, it's easier to change anything on the official site than it is on a third-party site. So, simple enough, again, a great friend, the internet. I can go to Stonehenge tickets, go to the official site, and then book the day and time I want to go. I booked for a specific day and specific time. I actually started my day earlier than I expected. I went to the actual place in Stonehenge about a good 2 or 3 hours before I actually booked my ticket. But because I bought my ticket from the official site, there was no issue. I was able to get in. When I got there, no problem whatsoever. So I wanted to go to the Eiffel Tower. I didn't want to wait in line on the day of, and there was a huge line, and luckily we bypassed that because we already had our tickets and it was easy to go in. Now, I bought my ticket to go all the way to the top, which is about 25 euros and change. But the day that we went, there was actually a lot of wind and they closed the top of the tower. So I was only able to go to the second floor, which is about 16 euros and change. But because I bought my tickets from the official site, I automatically got reimbursed the difference of the ticket prices. If had I gone to a third-party site, that wouldn't have happened so easily. So get your tickets of where you're going from the official sites. Getting these tickets, I use a credit card that has no foreign transaction fees. If you have a credit card that charges you foreign transaction fees, fine. It's usually about 2 to 3%. It's okay. What I recommend not to do, and there's a really good article on the New York Times about it as well, is not to convert to US currency. So keep it to the currency that it's local. So if you're getting Stonehenge tickets, pay it in pounds. If you're getting Eiffel Tower tickets, keep it in euros. Do not change it to US currency. Within changing it to US currency, it'll actually charge you more. The exchange rate fee is a lot higher. It can vary to 6 to up to 17% at times. And this goes for when you're in the place that you're going to. When you're in the area that you are, if you're using your credit card and they ask you, do you want to convert it to US currency? Always say no. You're going to end up paying more in the end. On the subject of credit cards, get a credit card that has tap to pay. Trust me, it's going to come in handy later on. If you don't have a credit card with tap to pay, call your credit card company, see if they have a tap to pay credit card, and if it's early enough and for you to get your credit card before your trip, I recommend doing it, especially if you're going to a place like London, where the train systems, they'll accept tap to pay credit cards, and you don't have to get their Oyster card, which is a card for their metro, their underground. Communication when you're overseas. If you have your phone paid off, you're able to unlock it. In unlocking your phone, you're able to get a SIM card from the countries that you're going to visit, and able to use your phone overseas. I know there's been some differences with some US carriers only doing CDMA, the kind of bands that the phones use. where overseas usually it's GSM. Now in 2019, most phones already come complying with CDMA and GSM. So if your phone is CDMA here in the United States, more than likely it will carry over to GSM. Check your particular phone to see if that's the truth. May not be true for all phones, but most phones, yes. If so, my phone wasn't fully paid off, so I wasn't able to lock my phone, but my wife's phone was, so her phone was able to be unlocked. I bought the SIM card over here before going over there because for the same price I would have bought a SIM card over there that would have had about 5 or 6 gigabytes of data. I got a plan for 20 gigabytes of data. For a couple of weeks, that's way more than enough. It's probably even overkill, but it was the same price. So it's better to have more than less. In that same token, since her phone was able to be unlocked and put the SIM card in her phone, she's actually able to put a hotspot off her phone and I'm able to feed off her data. So getting in that new SIM card, what happens is you will get a new phone number pertaining to the country of origin of what the SIM card is. I got Orange. This is a French company. It works all around Europe, like 33 countries. It has all the countries listed. It worked in the 2 places I was going. She had a different phone number, a French phone number, but with third-party apps like WhatsApp or any of those third-party communications app, her old phone number still applied. Anybody who needed to reach her stateside or anywhere else that had her WhatsApp information, was still able to communicate with her. Now it's time to see, what do I need to bring with me on the trip? Things that you're gonna need when you're traveling overseas. You're gonna need a charge and plug in your devices. London uses a different outlet system than the United States. France uses a different outlet system than the United States, and they use a different outlet system than London. So I got a multi-converter. Simple enough to buy one. I got mine from Amazon. You can go to any electronics store, Best Buy, PC Richard and Son, and able to get your own. What else did I need to prep to travel? Again, luckily, I live in New York, and living in New York, the weather's not that different from London. It's very similar. So I already had the stuff I needed. Light jackets, a little bit of heavier jackets in case it got a little bit colder. Bring an array of light to heavier jackets. I actually used both during the trip. It was going to be rainy some of the time. I brought an umbrella, brought a poncho. I knew I was going to do a lot of walking, and I was going to be walking in different climates, different kind of weather. I had to get shoes that are A, comfortable to walk for long distances, and B, they could withstand to get wet. If I was going to walk and it was going to start raining at one point, I didn't have to worry that my shoes were going to get soggy, as if I was just going to wear sneakers, and then I would have been with wet socks through the rest of the day. Another thing that you're going to want to take with you is hard cash. There's different places that you see all around, whether it be a kiosk at the mall, or if you're planning to go to the airport, converting your currency there, you will be hit with higher fees and a lot more percentage, and you're getting a lot less money back from what you're giving. Check with your local bank. Your local bank usually will give you good rates for banking with them. I bank with JP Chase. Also, where I work is very international. If you're going to convert currency, give yourself time to do it. Do it within at least a week before your trip, because a lot of the banks do not have the currency in hand. They have to order it, get it, and then give it to you. Luckily, I work in Flushing, Queens. It's a lot of travelers, a lot of international people that live there. I took my chances. The day before my flight, I went to my local branch of Chase, and they told me they did not have the cash. Now, what they did tell me, 2 blocks over, there was another Chase that normally does have the cash. So I went over there, and from there, I was able to get pounds and euros directly from my bank account. I gave them my debit card. I told them what I needed in pounds. I told them what I needed in euros, and right on the spot, I had the cash in hand, ready to fly. Not everything takes credit cards. You know, you go to any little spot that you want to eat. You want to eat from a little food cart or whatever. Normally, they won't take credit cards. you're going to want cash in hand. After all that prep work, now it's time for some fun. First stop, Buckingham Palace. Then, it's off to the London Bridge. Where you'll get an amazing view of the Tower Bridge. Then, it's a quick ride in the underground to King's Cross Station to visit platform 9 3/4, a must for Harry Potter fans. You can't visit another country without doing a little party. Oktoberfest in London was a great mix of English people celebrating German heritage while singing American pop songs. After a memorable night, it was time to pick up my rental vehicle and completely flip the script on how I drove my entire life. We were on our way to Stonehenge, but first, a stop for a proper English breakfast. It was on to our destination.
The visitor center of Stonehenge documents the lives of early man and the different versions of the site as it's changed over hundreds of years. After soaking up the history and seeing the homes the early people built and inhabited, it's time to see the main attraction. When you gaze upon the structure, one can't help but marvel the ingenuity that went to making this landmark centuries ago. From there, it was a quick drive to the small, lovely town of Winchester, where the first stop was the Great Hall and Garden. After the garden, it was time for a nice stroll in the town. Time to stop for a filling dinner and some sweets in one of the many terrific restaurants. Now that we've refilled the tank, it's time to continue the stroll. It's time to say goodbye to Winchester and take the car back. Keep an eye on the traffic light. There's a flash on the yellow light to let you know that the green light is about to hit. Hey America, let's get on this. The next day, we're back in London and it's off to 221B Baker Street. Well, more like a short walk away from the station, you will arrive at the Sherlock Holmes Museum. The museum features a mix of fictional characters from the books and real antique tools and props of what they would have used at the time.
I take it that this is the weapon you use in your performance, Minnie.
Yeah. Fella stands there with a cigarette in his mouth, and I throw the tomahawk at him, slice off the cigarette.
We say goodbye to our favorite fictional British detective.
Yes, do you, boy?
And continue with the history of London by embarking on the Jack the Ripper tour.
Someone said a man was seen near the place where Annie Rowley was found. A man carrying a small black bag and wearing an ulster.
Our tour guide starts off by explaining the era that these murders take place and how life was lived in those times.
Quickly, man, that was the Ripper!
This tour not only gives you a rich history lesson, but also lets you explore parts of the city and lets you see some great sights. We end our tour at night with a greater appreciation for this city. Time to call it a day, as tomorrow we take the train to Paris. We arrive at St. Pancras International Station to take the Eurostar train into France. There are shops, places to eat, and architecture to marvel at to occupy your time as you wait to enter the gate. We finally board our train. A short 2-hour nap later, we arrive at Paris at Gare du Nord station. Please, excuse my French. Our first stop is Le Sacré de Creux. But before we enter, a street crepe is a must. Let's take a moment and admire this work of art. must be wondering, does it taste as good as it looks? I've officially been ruined for all other crepes. Now we're ready to enter. This place is magnificent from inside out, with breathtaking views of the city. Behind the church, there's an artist alley where you can witness talented creators make masterpieces. We've decided to give our legs a rest and take a scenic trolley tour of Paris's red light district. Let's enjoy the highlights of this ride together. Up to this point in my life, I've only heard that type of siren in movies. Please, don't eat here when abroad. Try something new. You can only eat here if you order a Royale with cheese. Whoa, they still exist. Like in old school Times Square, the smut shops are still in full effect here. We exit the trolley and explore more of the city on foot. We take a dinner river cruise and see some of the sights while we wine and dine. Yeah, they made one for themselves as well. After, we catch the light show of the Eiffel Tower and other luminous displays of the City of Lights. And cap off the night with a couple of drinks while listening to some live music. We start the next day with a stop at the Louvre. As we had limited time till we had to catch our train back to London, we didn't enter. Just being outside and admiring the surrounding areas was eventful enough. We head off to our last stop before heading back to London. And what a way to end Paris with a bang, by visiting the Eiffel Tower. As we wait for our turn to scale the tower, we enter the pavilion, which features an Eiffel Tower made of Legos. I have to admit, I was just as impressed by the plastic brick version as much as the real thing. After the pavilion, we make our way to the second floor. Even though we couldn't reach the summit because of high winds, we were still in awe with the view and felt on top of the world. to head back to London. Thanks for everything, Paris. We start our day by visiting Piccadilly Circus, Chinatown, and other spots. Not to be outdone by the views we saw in Paris, we went to the Sky Garden in London to get a better look of the city. With that, it's time to head back to the airport to cross the pond back to the good old US of A. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had as much fun viewing as I did exploring. I hope this will inspire you to go out and create your own adventures.